Hey there guys, Reaper here, and I'm back with another painting video. And this is a more simpler model. Like, after I've actually finished, I realised just how simple this model is. It is the Archer from Barbarians the Invasion. And it is essentially skin, cloak, and a little bit of leather. And that's it. But we start off with Kobold skin, as it's one of my latest paints and I wanted to try it out. Make sure you shake these paints, because this actually takes about 4 layers to get to where it should be, which is ridiculous. I've never done that many layers of paint. I didn't even thin this down because it was so thin when I poured it out. But after I shook it up a little bit after, I done this one first, and then shook it up a bit and it came out alright after that. It's just, that's how a painter is, it seems. Once you get them, shake them up like mad, and then they should be alright from then on. But yeah, I'm just quickly covering all the flesh on this model, and it doesn't even look like she's wearing clothes other than a strap across her boobs. Like, that's all I could see. But there must be more to that than that, but that's all there's on the model. And she's got a little sort of leg brace around one of her legs, and that's really it. So this model is essentially just pure skin. And then we move on to the next part of the model, which is leather brown, and it's the cloak. But she's got a hood up and she's wearing a cloak over her back. And well, that's it really. The reason this model is primed green as well is because I accidentally primed all the archers green, thinking they were the green champion when I first pulled them out the box. But if I was doing this again, I would prime it in probably a grey or a white. I would recommend, not the green that I've used. And I don't think I'm ever going to be using this green again, because paint does not go on very well with this. But as you can see, yeah, the paint is just not sticking. It's going on okay, but I'm having to go back over bits of it because it's just, leather brown normally covers really well, so I can just like put it on and it won't be see-through, whereas you can still see the green through this one. And it's not a problem, it just makes it harder. And then I'll move on to Necromancer's cloak to do the few leather straps that she's got. Essentially, she's got one across her chest, one holding what looks like it should be a quiver, but there's no quiver, which is a bit strange. And she's got a dagger attached to her leg as well, so I've done all the straps on that. As you can see now, I moved straight onto that. But yeah, no matter where I looked on this model, I could not see any form of clothing other than the straps. Like, that's not a way to go into battle. You'll probably die doing that. But, well, I suppose an archer wouldn't go into battle. An archer would be hidden like 600-700 meters away with a longbow. But even still, like, wear some clothes, woman. Like, this is ridiculous. You can see I'm just doing the straps that she's got on her leg. Because they are essentially, it's just a rope that's been wrapped around her leg from the look of it, that crosses over. But it does look quite nice. Like, if she had them on each leg and some form of armour, she would actually look quite formidable. Then we move on to Skeleton Bone, because she's got it looks like a ram's head, well, a ram's skull, essentially, on the top of her head. It's just I quickly brushed that in. I couldn't find anything else that needed skeleton bone. Not like the champions where there's actually quite a few bone items on them. This one is just the head and that's it. And then move on to Oak Brown, which is, I only used Oak Brown just because the bow is oak. I wanted something a bit darker because a lot of this model is quite light, and especially after I highlight up the flesh after a wash, then it gets even lighter because I'll use elven flesh, which is a very light flesh tone. And it looks like she's got... It's like a raven almost. I basically treated it as just a bird in general, but it looks like a raven. Now I've gone back and looked at it, sitting on her shoulder, which I've just painted up in werewolf flesh just to separate them from the leather brown that I would normally use for that sort of thing, because leather brown is the cloak and it would just look strange. So if you use just a darker brown, it just makes it pop out that bit. And here I am coming back with the leather brown just to touch up anything messed and go over all the bits that were see-through. I've also gone over the skin at this point, but I lost the footage for that. But it's just keep going over the skin until you get the colour you want from it, as otherwise it just looks funny. She looked like almost like a troll in a sense, because she had green showing through her flesh. Next up we have Banshee Brown for her one glove, because she's Michael Jackson in it. She has one like long, it's like it covers her whole forearm. It's just a glove that she wears, which is fairly strange because I suppose firing the bow it might catch you, but that's the only reason I can see her wearing that one glove. And then I move on to the washes, which I figured the model is simple enough and the colours are similar enough that I can just flesh wash the whole model, so I did. There was no real need to swap over to a brown wash for this, because flesh wash is a ready brown anyway, and it's flesh and leather, so I figured it would work fine, and it turned out alright in the end. And then we move on to the elven flesh, which is essentially just highlighting up bits of the skin just to make it stand out a little bit more and make sure those recesses look actual recessed, because there's not a lot of detail in the model. It's a very flat model, so highlighting up helps a lot. As you can see, yeah, the skin is starting to really like pop out now. You just, when you're edge highlighting, it's just literally, if there's a recess, don't paint it. That's essentially how you do it. And raised areas, paint them. And then we're back to skeleton bone, just to touch up the ram's head again. Because when you cover something light, like skeleton bone with flesh wash, it goes really dark and dull. So you want it to stand out that little bit more. And instead of using skeleton bone, I actually got my matte white out to dot in the two eyes, as I felt it was needed for this model. There's something bright in the face. And then we're on to the final part of the model. It's just a black base. And as you can see, as I'm painting it, the paint is starting to run away. Like it's starting to pool instead of stick. Normally that's a sign the primer is not very good, is what I found. Because when I use a decent primer like my grey one, it doesn't do that. It's only on the weird coloured ones that I use. So I might actually stop using them completely. And that is essentially the end of the model. It's a very simple, very basic model, but it does work. And because it's not aligned to a faction, they're all going to look the same. But there's the final images of the model. Hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.